How can I help you
It was
today?
a bit
What's the
slow.
reason? What's the reason for the call?
So basically, I'm currently in Barcelona, just outside of Barcelona. This is where we
Okay,
live now.
lucky
We've
you.
been here for 9 years, been here for 9 years now,
Yeah.
and just through, well, we have three children,
hmm
and my eldest is coming back to the UK in
hmm
September, and he's off
Why?
to university.
Okay.
I know. Honestly, if he could go to university here, live his best life, but it's one of those, you know what I
Okay.
mean? He's a big
Mhm.
rugby player. He plays rugby over here at the highest level, loves
Oh,
it.
nice.
His passion is rugby's in England, you know what I mean,
Mm,
for him,
very
and
much so English
just
sport. Yeah.
exactly. So he wants to, he's whittled it down to two. He's had his offers.
hmm
So our half term, I'm a teacher, by the way, and my husband's a teacher. And, but I work part time since we came
hmm
out here. I'll
hmm
tell you a little bit why and this, that, and the other in a minute. But basically, he's chosen, whittled it down to Bath in Birmingham.
hmm
And so our half term is not next week, but the week after.
hmm
So we've hired a car, blah, blah, blah. The kids were born in Manchester before they came over here.
hmm
And so we're going back to Manchester and then travelling down. We're going to have a look at the universities and this, that, and the other. And my husband has applied for a couple of jobs. Well, so we were just going to pack him off and send him. And then my middle son plays at the highest level football over here.
Oh, right. It's
And
quite a sporty family then.
goodness me, oh, no,
They
the
get it from
commitment.
you.
The commitment's unreal. Um, so anyway, long story short, we came over at Christmas. In the summer, sorry, it's too long a story.
That's all
In
right.
the
That's all
summer,
right.
last summer, some Man United players his age came over to train, got in contact. With my husband through a
Mhm.
contact of a contact of a contact, blah, 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 set up this. They thought he was really good, this, that, and the other. When we went back at Christmas, they invited him for a little bit of a, kick around at Christmas time, blah, blah, blah.
Great.
What I said, flipping heck, if he was over here, it'd be in an academy. But over here, there aren't academies. Over here, you go to school, you train dead late, he trains
Yeah.
at 9 o'clock at night, blah, 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 and all this,
Yeah.
that, and the other. It's very
Yeah.
different. In
Yeah.
the UK, which he didn't know about, which my husband obviously did. But anyway, there's academy paths that can like get you in and
Yeah.
look after you. You go to school and everything, but you don't train as late. They have these
Yeah. They
deals
get you
with
in really early here. Really early.
exactly. So, long story short, we're coming back. We're coming over in 2 weeks' time, not only to see universities, but he's got some trials. However,
Exciting.
the FIFA regulations, we have to be living in the UK because
Okay.
obviously trafficking children. Do you know what I mean? And this, that, and the other. So
Right. Got you.
but I said to my husband, well, do you want to go back to the UK? And he went, not
hmm
really. But he says, look, I could. Some jobs about, I could have a look. It'd be a bit of a sideways move. He applied for the job and he's got interviews already lined up, right?
hmm hmm
So it's like, okay, right, okay. So he would continue working. But the good thing is, the house that I'm in now,
hmm
we bought over here when we came over.
Yeah.
And I've always been interested in property, even for the
Mhm.
first time I got me keys after me PGCE and what have you, and I loved it. It was a flat. But
hmm
coming from a family who went to university, who lived with that one paycheck, who went on
hmm
that one holiday,
hmm
put everything into a pension.
Yeah.
Okay, pensions are great for them. My mum's living her best life. It's really good. My
Yeah.
mother-in-law is as well. It's completely changed.
Yeah.
The pensions have gone down and down and down. Everything's got more
Yeah.
expensive. I even know buying my first house.
Yeah.
It was twice my salary. Now I don't even think I could buy a house on my salary.
It's
You know what I mean?
eight times your salary now.
Exactly. So I
Mm.
started literally about, I would say, 72 hours ago,
Right.
with looking on Instagram and looking at all the things and looking at
hmm
different people. And then I saw all of I went onto YouTube and I looked at everything and I thought, I've always been passionate about property. And when I
hmm
met my husband, we did a house up, but we had the one, we did it up, we got loads of money out of it, moved to the next one,
Yeah.
blah, blah, and then a family house. Had
Yeah.
the one child came along, the second and third. We sold, well, we didn't want to sell it. We
Yeah.
rented it. I was right,
Yeah.
this is me now. I'm going into part-time teaching and property. We came
Yeah.
over here, rented it out.
Yeah.
BBC moved up to Manchester. I did
Right.
all, did a load of research. BBC were moving up, sent an email.
Yeah.
This family came straight in,
Yeah.
went, we'll have it. It's fabulous, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. I thought, great.
hmm
Came over here. We lived here for the year and I thought, we've got to buy here because we've got with salaries. Let's
hmm
buy on
Yeah. Why
salaries out
not?
here.
Yeah.
That's taken over. Um, course, we live in flipping the second most expensive place outside of flipping Madrid. Do you know what I mean? I
Right.
think just to give perspective, I've taught Messi's kids, Suarez's kids.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's ridiculous. You name the person. The kids, you know, the most parents have around 500 million. I mean, it's
Right.
ridiculous. I could tell you
Average wage.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
unreal. So I said, if we're going to live here, I don't mind doing a rec up. We'll love it. You know, we'll like doing things we want to put value on. So we cleverly bought with Wahed. I bought it again, knocked it all down, did the whole thing. Thought I was great.
Hands on the hammer.
You know, exactly. Seeing it all.
Yeah.
As I was on maternity leave, after maternity leave, you know, I was like, I've got this. And whittled it down, got it down, and bought one with a tourist license. So every single year for the last 7 years, I've been renting this house out for 8 weeks in the summer holidays because we've been going to France in a caravan, living my best life in a caravan, and this kids when they were younger and this, that, and the other.
Brilliant.
And I've made a net profit every summer just on those 8 weeks of 24 grand.
Wow, that is
it's
impressive.
Net profit, 3 grand a week, and every time I get it, I put a little bit back into it and renovate it a bit more. But what I do is I increase the price slightly every year because of like what it's got, you know. And I always look at around us and this, that, and the other. But we bought with location. So what we had to do in the end was sell to get this. We had to sell the other one. It was getting a bit flat. It was fine. Get a bit flat. I'll get it a drive away.
Yeah.
But then that didn't work out in my head, you know. They literally the sea's there, you know what I mean? We've done it all up and we've got it knocked down, and the value in it, it's great. We've put loads of value on it. So if this was in England, I'd remortgage, take it out. I was listening to what you were doing and, you know, and this, that, and the other. And then over here, it's a bit different because if you want to buy a property, say down the road, you have to put a lot more to get a mortgage or whatever. You have to
deposit.
Your second residence can't be near your own house.
Okay.
So you have to be in another town, right?
Okay, right.
That's fine. It's just got to be in a different town.
Okay.
And I looked at all that and this, that, and the other, and then I don't know. You've got to there's different taxes here to get your head around it. Well, I don't know if you've heard about Europe, but it's just Spain. But
I
it's
have
just
briefly,
paper city. There's papers for nothing and everything.
Right.
You know, it's ridiculous. And you can't get an honest answer in this, that, and the other. Do you know what I mean? It's
like, of course. And do you own the land? Do you own the freehold when you buy there? They can't.
You can some places, but you can't everywhere, no.
Okay.
You can't everywhere, no.
It's like a long lease in some places.
Exactly, in some places, that was it. So we never want to sell this because it's got a tourist license. Because I don't know if you know about tourist license, you can't rent. You can get slapped with 100 grand bill if you rent your house out.
Right.
You can't rent your house out. So we do it all above great. And they don't give them out anymore.
No. Okay.
Literally, after we bought it, they said that the tourist licenses now don't pass on with your property when you buy it.
Okay.
It was with that family and or that owner, and you know, and it doesn't move on, it doesn't stay in, it doesn't move on or anything.
Wow, okay.
So
that is different.
Great. It's great. So I'd like to keep it, but if my husband, well, he's gone to interviews, he's already been offered a job, but we're trying to work out the best one, you know what I mean?
Sure.
We're thinking, right, well, we could rent.
Yeah.
He's got a salary, he'll have a contract and everything.
Yeah.
This might be the first time that I could go rogue, not teach, you know what I mean? And do this, which I always wanted to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But what I don't know is how because over here I looked at rent to rent, you see, because we have loads of family coming over all the time. And I just thought, flipping heck, the amount of money they pay to somebody and the services are good and blah, blah, blah and all this.
Yeah.
But can't sublet over here.
Right.
Because I looked years ago and you can't sublet.
Right.
So it's in the contract. It's just in Catalonia, of course, but it's the richest region in Spain. And in fact, you go outside of Catalonia and it can look like a third world country in certain parts of Spain. Catalonia, it's like no wonder all the footballers flipping live here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, of course.
I don't live next door to them, but you know what I mean.
You're in the area. Yeah, of course.
It's lovely. It's a lovely place to come to. But then, so I thought when you were talking about rent to rent, I was like, oh, you can't do that here, but you're doing it. You started doing it and this, that and the other. Then you mentioned something about flipping properties and this, that and the other. And I thought, well, this is the only chance I'm going to get to not work for the time being. Do you know what I mean? And really throw myself into it, or go part time. I could do that. I've got lots of students online, so basically I work part time at the British School of Barcelona now, and on my spare time I have clients online, like all over the world, teaching them. I'm a linguist. I teach Italian, French, Spanish, and English.
Amazing.
You wouldn't think with my Geordie accent, would you?
That's amazing. I can only speak one language, mate.
It's funny, the English students that I have, they come away speaking like with a little bit of a Geordie twang. They go,
a bit of
no.
twang on it.
No, they go, no.
I'm getting used to it because I'm actually teaching a Geordie that's just come on board on the program, so I'm getting used to the language now.
It's a bit of a difference.
It's nice. It's cool.
We speak a lot faster, I think, sometimes.
That's all right. That's all right. We're on the clock, so I'm just trying to download everything you're saying.
30 minutes quick. So this is the first opportunity, I thought, and I've literally took an exercise book from school. I've half filled it already, just on trying to pause your YouTube clips, trying to pause this, write this down, write all the different things that obviously you need to know, which I knew from just buying a house, selling it, buying in the UK to get to the family house to come here, all the hidden fees and this, that, and you've got to make you do. I get all that. But I didn't realise you could rent to rent. And then another thing you said was, I love renting this house out. I make a really good relationship with the families, and they come, and sometimes I'm not here. I've got a lock-up key and they let themselves in.
Housekeeping, basically.
Like they know me. It's brilliant. I love it. And I get 5 out of 5. It's like the badge of honour. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. We feel the same.
Obviously, working in schools, in different types of schools I've worked in, and different types of parents. I'm used to working with people, and I still love that. And I thought, this is another area when I was thinking, if we go back to the UK, I might have to retrain or do something different, because if my son does get into an academy, one morning he's got to be there at 9 and picked up at 1. Well, what do I do? Excuse me, just leave me French lesson, me Italian lesson. So I thought, this is a perfect opportunity. And I thought, my age, I'm 46, I've just turned 46. And I just thought, retraining, what do I retrain as? What do I to work at home more? Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
I thought, I've always loved property. I don't know enough about it. I've always wanted to get into it. I love the whole essays. But then I like the idea of the rent to rent. And I also wrote down, like, you could get in also with Manchester. If it were to be in Manchester, I heard, like you were saying, things about you can get a house, a big house, do it all up really nice, like a bit like an HMO, but you could get contractors in. And I was thinking, that's companies, isn't it? Sort of renting it to companies who travel. We've got this over here. A lot of people, you see them flying over, and they don't stay in hotels. They stay in lovely big villas and this, that, and the other. I was thinking, great. So I'm an absolute novice. I'm sorry.
You're not a novice. You've got some experience in it.
Well, nothing compared to...
but those skills of managing your own and being a good host, that's like 30% of rent to rent, in terms of, like, we have properties where we do service accommodation, which is what you're basically alluding to there. So, I mean, those skills could definitely be transferred. And obviously you're very good at communication, which is another huge skill that you'll need to be able to... Well, it's a good thing, because you need to be able to not shut up with landlords, with agents, and you also need to make them like you, which you're probably quite good at as well, without knowing it, So I think you'd be brilliant, to be honest with you. It's just, I just need to know exactly what you want to do, if you really want to do it. Then I can definitely help you. I'd love to train you. You're the exact type of person I think I could make very successful from it. It just depends on where you're at and like how sure you are with what you want to do,
Yeah. Well, the likelihood is, ASAP really, because it's my son, eldest, is definitely off to university. He's accepted and whatever.
That's happening.
Then I thought about this rent to rent thing. I thought, could even stretch if he goes to Birmingham, because I thought I could I'm not like, I think it's legal, isn't it? Say I do a house up or rent a house, make it studenty, like you were saying, like make it all nice or whatever, or just turn it around. Or for me, it's finding the landlords. I haven't got a clue where to find them, obviously. Do you know what I mean? But the idea is, when you found one, do it. I could put my son in and maybe 3 other friends or 4 other friends. If it was like a house, is that I can put my son in? That's legal.
Of course you can. Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can. Once you've rented it from the landlord. Yeah, once you've rented it for a fixed term, it's your responsibility to sort out the tenants, the vetting process, the management of it. That's kind of, we include that all in the package to the landlord, you know. That's kind
Right.
of the unique selling point of it because they just want that hands-off, hassle-free solution. They don't want to deal with any of that side of things. They're either working with estate agents previously who are charging them fees for every single tenant that they move in. Sometimes it's like 1 month's rent. Some of these estate agents charge, which can be quite steep for landlords. And then they're going to charge them an ongoing management fee as well for like commission. So there's a lot of fees that you wouldn't charge as a rent to rent company. You just offer a fixed guaranteed rent for a sustained period of time. And then it's down to you to then make that margin on top, you know,
Yeah.
whether that be adding value to it on a cosmetic basis, you know, making it look better in terms of
Yeah.
like just the surface level stuff, nothing too expensive. You know, it's not
Yeah.
yours, so you don't want to
Yeah.
spend
Exactly.
thousands and thousands. But some of our best deals, we've maybe spent 4 or 5 grand just painting, decorating, doing a bit of nice furniture here and there, marketing it
Yeah.
better, taking the photos better, taking better videos. And then we managed to find these contractors and these companies that are either working in the area or relocating to the area. And they typically can't get the tenancies from estate agents because they're either not UK based, so they can't get a company let in their company name. We've got quite a lot of like Finnish and Polish different types of contractors that are working over here in the UK,
Right.
Italian people as well. They either can't get the agreement themselves, or the estate agent just doesn't want to entertain a 3 month, a 6 month, a 9 month tenancy because their sort of business is set up to do 12 month tenancies really.
Yeah.
And they're more suited to like single let family type of tenancies is how estate agents operate. So we sort of operate in the space in between, you know, like in the sort of grey area. And there's quite a big sort of gap in the market, I think, for that, you know, because those types of companies, even the individual working people that we house, like doctors, nurses, who only need 3 months, 9 months, there's not much accommodation for them. And most of the time, we find that they're either in a hotel paying a lot more than what we charge them for months and months on end. So when you do actually connect with them and show them you've got accommodation with all the bills included,
Yeah.
and you're open to them moving in, they're so happy, they're made up, you know,
Yeah.
and they're prepared to pay a premium for that because they know that there's not really much other option for them, you know, and they want to live somewhere where they can call their home, even though they're going to be there for a matter of months. It's still they want it to be their home. Living in a hotel can be difficult, you know. You can't
Yeah.
open the windows, can't cook for yourself.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, those little things there are sort of the unique selling points of the business. So it's a market that's growing all the time, and if you can be one of the better operators, then you're always going to be busy with traffic from your perfect type of tenants, contractors, doctors, nurses, people like that, engineers, and it's just a case of pairing the two. So speaking with the landlords, getting the properties off of the landlords and the agents, and then finding these companies. And we teach all of this stuff in the program. You know, we're
All
at it
right.
we're at it every day basically. You know, so it's just a case of practicing, learning, and following the steps that we provide basically.
Yeah. So so you prefer rent to rent, or do you do the flipping properties and all
Yeah,
that, or
yeah. I mean,
capital? I don't know.
I prefer rent to rent. I say I prefer it. I like both. We don't really flip properties. We more like we buy them and rent them out. Quite straightforward. Like my
Yeah.
buy to let
Yeah. Buy
portfolio.
to let. Yeah.
Yeah, buy to let portfolio is basically 7 out of 10 condition houses. We might spend a bit of money paint and decoration, but very similar to our rent to rent refurbs, to be honest. We don't try and get full back to brick and like what you've done
Yeah.
there, just because of the stress of builders and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
As a business, it becomes a little bit less efficient when we start doing that. I have done those projects in the past, but I found that it's created like in the business world, we called it like operational drag,
Yeah.
where builders aren't really business people. Their communication skills aren't the best. Sometimes they're off sick, they're drunk down the pub.
Yeah.
You know, they're just not easy to communicate with. And when you've got strict deadlines and you've put all your money into a fixer upper and they're taking ages to get it done, it can take 8 months before you see any income.
Yeah.
And then you're relying on a valuation at the end, but sometimes you might get a down valuation and you might end up having to leave 20 grand in the house when you was hoping to get all of your money out.
Yeah.
So by going through that experience, we just decided that every time we get a spare 25, 30K, we'll just buy a buy to let and leave that money in. It's the same amount of
Yeah,
money you'd be leaving in anyway, but you can
yeah.
get that income coming in straight away.
See, that's what I'd like to do, I think, as well, because if I'm not going to apply for a job going
Hmm.
back to the UK
Hmm.
and I can do this, I'll want to bring in an income. I want to do something. And
Yeah.
I thought a way of like maybe a buy to let or something,
Yeah.
because I have to look into the mortgages and all this, that, and the other buy to let because, but then there was a way around it. I thought because I thought, well, I haven't got any current work history in
Hmm.
the UK, but
Hmm.
then, if you put it through a limited company,
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
put it
And
through a limited company, can't you? Like a buy to let.
you can, and they also measure more how much income's coming in versus your personal income. More like the
Yeah,
rent versus the mortgage is more how they do their calculations.
yeah,
They do want you to have some level of income, but it's not as much as people may think. They're not looking at you like a residential mortgage. They want to see you have like they'll typically give you 5 times your income as a mortgage in the UK for a residential. But with buy to let, they look more at is the rent going to cover the mortgage? And
yeah,
obviously they want to see you have some money coming in, but they're more concerned with is the asset going to pay for the mortgage, basically. And
yeah,
in those areas like you've mentioned, Manchester, Birmingham, where I invest in Wales, anywhere outside of London, basically, the mortgage is more than gonna be less than the rent, basically by 125% is what they like it to be. So if the mortgage is £1,000, which it wouldn't be, they want to see that it's going to rent for 1250 at least, basically,
yeah.
which you can
Because
show.
I just started looking at rentals for us because obviously we had to sell the house, and I thought,
Yeah.
well, me and my husband will have a contract, a good one,
Hmm.
but so we'll be able to go to an estate agent and say, right, what have you got to rent? So I go
Yeah.
on, right, and all this, that,
Yes.
and the other. It's nothing there.
No.
Or if it's there, it goes like that. The next day, it's
Yeah.
gone.
It's bad. It's a
Like,
crisis over here at the moment. It's a big housing crisis.
yeah. So I
Yes.
just thought, actually, well, hopefully we'll find somewhere. I'm sure we,
You will. You
but
will.
really for the time being.
Hmm.
I mean, he could even buy something on his salary after a
Hmm.
while or whatever. Do you know what I
Hmm.
mean? And
Hmm.
so we can still have a residence there and
Hmm.
add to a portfolio and what
Yeah.
have you. You know,
Absolutely.
but I thought, well, even if he rents, you can see they go off the market like this,
Yeah.
the rental
Yeah.
properties.
Yeah.
And so I just thought, wow. And then I've been looking at, ones that you could actually turn around quite quickly, like you were
Hmm.
saying, where you don't have to do too much to
Yeah.
it.
Exactly.
But the ones I've seen, I thought, oh, there'll not be anything in the area where we were. Funnily enough, yesterday,
Hmm.
uh, I was on the day I confirmed the call, and I was like, look at that. It
Hmm.
came on, it said cash buyers only,
Yeah.
and I was like, so they do appear, but sometimes for some reason, whether somebody, I
Well,
don't know what it is.
normally that means that it's not mortgageable.
Oh,
Yeah, so for whatever reason, it might have, I don't know, sometimes if there's not even a bathroom, like a toilet plumbing system in there, sometimes that makes it unmortgageable.
all
Sometimes there
right.
could be Japanese knotweed in the garden. Sometimes some mortgage lenders don't like to lend when there's knotweed within like 7 meters of the house.
All right.
But then there's some mortgage companies that will lend if you have an insurance policy against it and things like that. So in most cases, it's because the mortgage company won't lend, so they just say cash only.
Right.
But if you
Oh,
were to buy
right.
it for cash and maybe add value to it, get the insurance policy on the knotweed, for example, then you may be able to get a mortgage in 6 to 8 months' time once you've rented it out and showed that it's now an income producing asset. The bank will
Yeah.
be more happy to lend at that point. But
Oh, right.
begin
Right.
in the beginning stage that they won't really mortgage something that's in that sort of condition, basically.
All right, right. Oh, I didn't know that. That's good. That's
Yeah,
good to know. Yeah, because I
that's
was thinking,
normally
yeah, because the
that's
one
normally
next
what it
door,
means.
identical with no extension, no nothing, because it's obviously
Yeah.
got land, nothing. It looks like an older person's house as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It sold last month for 425, and this one's on for
Mhm.
250.
Okay, yeah. So that's
And
a
I
lot
was
less.
like, you could add to it, flip, and you could extend it, you could do whatever, or you could just do it up as it is a
Yeah.
3 bed and
Yeah.
get a family in there because there's families they could go like this, the three
Yeah.
beds,
Yeah. Yeah. Still probably
So
needs a
obviously,
couple hundred, maybe 150 spent on it probably to get it up,
yeah,
maybe
to get
100.
so
So
it's obviously there's something like
yeah,
wrong with it.
there's nothing that's priced cheap for no reason. Like if it's cheap, that means
Right.
something
Yeah.
spent on it, you know. But I mean,
Right.
you know, it just depends how much capital you have and what your plan
Yeah.
is. It just depends where you're at, you know.
Yeah. Well, I thought the buy to let was really good, or the rent to rent start. Is that how you started?
Yeah, yeah, that's how I
The
started.
rent to rent.
I didn't have capital in the beginning. I didn't have enough to buy in London or anywhere really. I only had around 6, 7 grand saved. We're going back like 7 years now. So that was my strategy. Once I learned that I could actually rent properties and then rent them out for a premium, I was just obsessed with it. You know, I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
this is like a stepping stone for me to get in and then build a business that has income coming in and cash flow. And then
Yeah.
eventually I can get mortgages later on down the line once I've obviously built the business, learned how it worked, learned what landlords are good landlords, what bad landlords, what to buy, what not to buy, you know. So for 2 years, I just hammered the rent to rent, you know, recycling the profits over and over again into a next deal. And then 2 years into the journey, I started buying my own buy to lets, and then now I've got sort of a portfolio of rent to rents and a portfolio of buy to lets as well. So I just use the cash from the rent to rent business to buy every sort of 3 to 6 months.
And have ever had any landlords say, "Oh, well, I want it back now, the house."
Yeah, yeah.
And what happens there? You just have to
Well,
terminate it.
it's not much you can do really. I mean, like,
No.
yeah, we've had quite a few that have gone back, especially when the mortgage rates have jumped up in the last few
Yeah.
years. Landlords have felt like that was the peak of the market, even though it hasn't proved to be the peak. It's still going up, you know. But some of them wanted to sell, getting to that point in their life, late 50s, 60s. They just want to sell up. And yeah, there's not much you can do. But I mean, at that stage, I've already had 4 or 5 years of
Exactly.
nine
Yeah.
hundred 900
An
pound a
income.
month profit. Yeah. So
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's just part of the game. But what we encourage the students to do is consistently have like a pipeline of new deals, so that when potential old deals fall out of bed or the landlord wants to sell, then you have more coming in, so you can just replace. Sometimes we've moved tenants from one HMO literally 4 doors down to another HMO with a landlord who I've already been marketing to for months previously, and then it can
Yeah.
be quite seamless transition, just moving them in, and then that landlord sells, and I just move them along, you know. So that's what happens. There's always a solution. You just have to be able to adjust.
Yeah. Yeah. Adapt. Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and how do you find the landlords?
yeah.
Do you have to go to the estate agents
That's
and I
one
mean,
way. That's one way, but it's just a lot of marketing. So we've got various different methods that we use. We write to them. There's the HMO registers on most of the council's websites that have the addresses of the license holders quite often.
right.
So we send a lot of direct mail. That's probably one of our main strategies that we use.
So you can do a search to see which properties are currently rented.
Yeah, you can find HMO licensed properties. So basically, properties that the landlord's already paid for a multi-let license, which allows them to rent it out by the room.
Right.
So you can search for those registers. Some students are now having to buy them because the councils realise that they can monetize it. So they're now charging people like £50 for the register. But
Right.
once you have that register, you've got thousands of addresses of licensed HMOs with landlords who are already have that commercial mindset of trying to make as much money from their asset as possible. They're just open to freeing up some of their own time if they're self-managing to someone else with a bit more energy, a bit more enthusiasm, someone who's a bit better at marketing, so they can just be more hands off and
Yeah.
basically get the income without the hassle, basically, of dealing with
Yeah.
tenants. You know?
Yeah. All right. All right. That's good. So there is a way of finding them,
Absolutely,
since,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, going into agents as well, we do encourage that, building relationships with agents. I got my first deal from an agent. It was a 6-bed HMO in Newport in Wales, and I had been pestering this one particular agent for months and months, probably around 3 months. And then one popped up on Rightmove. I got my dad to go and view it because I was in London at the time. My dad lives in Wales, and then viewing went well, and we negotiated on it, and I think we paid £1,200 a month for a 6-bed HMO, going back 7 years now. And then literally where it's based, there's like a docks, like shipping docks, just like 5 minutes walk from there in Newport. And we housed a company in there that worked like a shipping engineer company from Finland. We housed them in there for, I think they pay us around 3K. Obviously, we have to pay the bills on top as well.
Yeah.
So that takes another 600 off. But yeah, we're making a grand most of the time, you know, most months.
That's really good.
So it's
Yeah.
just about filling the holes and pairing the two together, you know?
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just don't know where to start. I don't think I've
Well,
like got to start now because soon it could be the summer and soon we could all be over, back in the
well,
UK. And like I said, this is my chance like to actually do this now. I
yeah,
don't necessarily have to return with a job.
yeah,
We could,
yeah, absolutely.
sort of, because I've got this. You see, so what I would do with this is instead of just renting out for 8 weeks, I would rent it out all year round. So it
Absolutely.
would be nice to have. I'll have an income from this, which would be
Yeah,
great,
yeah.
a good income. But obviously, I've got one at university. So, but I would use all of this to
Fund
like,
your business.
so yeah, exactly, help
Yeah,
me and pay for you better stick in at university because when
yeah,
I went to university, it was flipping free. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? It
And
was
those days
free.
are
And
good
it was
long gone.
pennies for a comment, and now it's like, and of course he goes, oh, I can't work either because if I make the 65-man squad in rugby, um, I'll be having games on the weekends, and then we train 7 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah,
lectures, and in
yeah,
the evening I can't get a job like you did because I had two flipping jobs at university
yeah,
trying
yeah.
to, do
Those
you know
those
what I
days are
mean?
done. Those days are done now.
Honestly, I was like, me and your dad are grafters.
Yeah,
You're different.
different
You lot do
generation,
everything
Julie. Different
else. You know what I mean?
generation.
And he's like, yes, I won't be able to work.
Yeah,
You, I will find a way. We will
we'll
find a
find
way.
a way for you
So
to work, mate. Don't worry about
I was
that.
telling him, I think I had one of your YouTube videos on the other night,
Mm,
and they were,
mm.
and he was like, what are you listening to? And I was saying, well, actually, here's a side hustle for you. While you're at university, you could actually set up your own limited company,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you could do something in property. I'm trying to learn what you can do first.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
can.
I love that. I love that. That's great. I mean,
So, and I said, if I do like rent one wherever you go,
mm,
you could run it for me, look after it, or do you know
yeah,
what I mean? This
yeah.
is how we can make. And he's like,
Okay.
start,
Yeah, 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 yeah. The brain's going. Yeah, he could be your
exactly.
mate, one of your best tenants, and he could be the lead tenant, and he could like make sure everyone's keeping the house in good condition, following the house rules,
Yeah,
making
yeah,
sure everyone's
yeah.
paying their rent on time and stuff. So
Exactly.
it's
And
definitely
be eyes
something.
on the
Oh,
ground to find another one. Be eyes
yeah,
on the ground,
yeah,
to find
yeah.
another one. I
Because all
suppose
you,
that's what it is. It's word of mouth,
absolutely,
isn't it?
absolutely. All you have to do is have someone to view them, and then it'll be yourself negotiating and speaking with agents and landlords and getting the deals over the line. But just having someone to view it on the ground, like you say, that's half of the struggle there. And then just getting that
Yeah.
done, and then you can do most of the negotiation side. So these are all things we can show you. It just depends, like you say, when you're ready to do it.